Greetings to all of you.
我係 Annie。
I am Annie.
我平時係返BCEC 第3堂嘅。
I usually attend the third service here at BCEC.
我好高興可以喺呢度同你哋分享我嘅見證。
I'm very glad and happy that I can be here today to share with you my testimony.
咁我首先講一講我由細開始點樣去信神咯。
Let me first start by telling you how I came to know Christ when I was a child.
我自小咧喺學校裏面經常都會聽到神嘅事蹟。
When I was attending school, I would often hear about God and what He would do.
雖然我嘅爹哋媽咪都唔係基督徒。
My parents are not Christian.
但係而且對基督教係十分之反感。
In fact, they were very opposed to Christianity.
但係我一直都覺得喺學校裏面所學嘅知識都係正確嘅。
However, I always believed that whatever I learned in school was accurate and correct.
所以雖然我未被神所感動。
At that time, even though I wasn't yet moved by the Lord.
但係我一直都抱住有神存在嘅思想。
However, I always carried with me the thought that there is a God.
當我漸漸長大，
As I grew up,
喺我大概11歲嘅時候，
about 11 years old,
我成日都身體感到好唔舒服。
physically, I always felt very ill.
我經常需要請病假或者喺學校嘅病房裏面休息。
I would often take days off from school or be resting in the infirmary at school.
我嘅爹哋媽咪都好擔心。
My parents were also very worried for me.
而且不斷為我向唔同嘅醫生去求診。
And they would also bring me to very different doctors to see if they could heal me.
但係始終都冇乜進展。
But there was no progress.
喺同一時間。
Same time.
我堂家姐每一個星期都會為我補習英文。
My cousin actually would come and help me with tutoring English.
我堂家姐係一位好虔誠嘅基督徒。
My cousin was a very devout Christian.
佢見到我嘅情況，
seeing my situation,
佢就向我傳福音。
she would share the gospel with me.
佢話俾我聽，神係醫治嘅神。
She tells me that God is a healing God.
而且聖經亦都多次提到，人如果侍奉耶和華嘅話，佢就一定會醫治一切嘅疾病。
And Scripture has also recorded many times that the people who serve God would be healed.
當時我對神嘅認識其實唔係太深。
I didn't know too much about God.
但係我知道自己係相信佢嘅。
But I do know that I believe that He exists.
所以我就喺1998年嘅時候決志信主。
So therefore, in 1998, I decided to follow God.
本來我當聖經裏面耶穌替人治病嘅事蹟都只不過係個故仔咁去聽。
At first, when I read about Jesus healing people, to me these were just stories.
但係當我估唔到神真係醫治咗我。
But I couldn't believe that God would even heal me.
佢將我所有身體嘅唔舒服都醫治咗。
And God healed all of the physical ailments that I had.
神嘅醫治，我覺得係十分之實在。
So God healing me is a reality.
令我感受到神嘅恩典。
And that allowed me to experience the grace of God.
而且亦都令我肯定神係會帶俾人出乎意外嘅平安。
And also brought me to believe that God would bring about a peace that no one could understand.
當時神醫治咗我，而我亦都十分之感恩。
At that time, even though God had healed me, and I also feel very grateful.
但係因為家人嘅反對，我始終係唔能夠維持返教會嘅生活。
However, because my parents opposed it, I was not able to attend church regularly and attend fellowship.
喺中學時期嘅我，靈命上面不斷起伏。
In high school, I would always have a lot of struggles.
而且亦都好擔心，因為我嘅宗教信仰而同我家人關係會唔係咁好。
And I was very concerned that because of my faith, I would have a lot of conflict with my family.
終於我嚟到波士頓讀大學。
And I came to Boston for a university.
我學習獨立嘅生活嘅同時，亦都真係有機會返教會。
As I learned to have an independent life, I was also able to come to church.
但係呢段時間只係維持咗幾個月。
However, this period of time only lasted for a few months.
我當時對神嘅信心係十分之唔足夠。
At that time, I had very little faith in God.
我為咗用多啲時間去讀書，以學業為70分之繁重為藉口。
And I would spend a lot of time studying, and I would use the time that I had to study as an excuse.
我放棄返教會嘅機會，放棄所有嘅團體嘅生活。
I gave up coming to church and also gave up coming to fellowship.
我明顯咁將學業睇得比尋求神更為重要。
I definitely put my studies above and beyond seeking the Lord.
我將我所有嘅精神都花喺學業上面，而且對自己期望越嚟越高。
I put all of my energy and efforts into studying, and I had very high expectations of my academic career.
我好堅決咁樣覺得，只要我自己有決心、俾心機咁樣去讀書，依靠住我自己嘅實力。
I really firmly believe that so long as I tried hard and I relied on my own strength and efforts,
我根本冇嘢係做唔到嘅。
there is nothing that I cannot do.
其實而家諗翻轉頭，我呢一切嘅諗法，只不過係為咗滿足我個人嘅成功感，同埋去取悅我爹哋媽咪。
Looking back, I realized that this attitude, this belief, was really just to satisfy my own sense of self-sufficiency and also to please my parents.
當時我承受住自己俾自己嘅壓力，生活失去咗平衡。
And I realized that the pressure that I gave myself really gave me an imbalance in life.
每當我同朋友傾偈或者同朋友食飯嘅時間，我都會有好大嘅罪疚感。
Every time I would talk to my friends or spend time with my friends, I'd have a sense of guilt.
我以為只要我取得好好嘅成績，呢一切嘅代價都係值得嘅。
I just thought, no matter what happens, no matter what price, so long as I achieved academic success, that would be enough.
但係我慢慢明白到物極必反嘅道理。
And I slowly realized that this wasn't the case.
理想嘅學業會令到我真係十分之憂慮，同埋生活好不安。
As I continued to pursue my academic career, I felt I did not feel at peace.
諗翻起嚟，其實我當時祈禱都只不過係真係為考試或者為學業去祈禱。
And I realized at that time the only time I would prayer is to really gain academic success.
我唔記得咗，其實我生命裏邊嘅一切都係從神而嚟嘅。
And I forgot that everything I had was really from God.
我冇乜點樣去諗過，藉着神俾我嘅能力，去將榮耀都歸翻俾佢。
I didn't think too much about using the abilities that God had given to me to give Him glory.
所以我再次思想翻人生嘅意義係啲乜嘢。
So that caused me to think again about what's the purpose of life.
神喺呢個時候亦都再次提醒我作為基督徒嘅身份係應該將佢放喺我人生嘅指標。
And God reminded me at that time that as a Christian, as a follower of Him, that I should put God as the end goal of my life.
喺2006年初，
In the beginning of 2006,
我發現我喺中學有一位好好嘅朋友，佢將會離開波士頓。
and at that time I learned that there was a friend of mine from high school who was going to be leaving Boston.
佢之前都係翻 BCEC 嘅。
And she used to attend BCEC.
我當時好想多啲見到呢位姊妹。
At that time I wanted to spend more time with her.
所以我就諗，如果我翻到嚟 BCEC 嘅話，一方面我可以尋求神，去更加認識神，亦都真係可以同見多啲呢位姊妹。
And then at that point I was thinking, well, if I came back to BCEC, not only would I be able to seek God more, but I'd also be able to spend time with the sister.
但係我真係好感恩神係從來冇放棄過我。
I'm really grateful for the fact that God has never let go of me.
我慢慢咁樣去透過團契嘅生活，同埋喺教會裏面嘅生活，去感受到神嘅愛。
And I experienced God's love through fellowship and through the life here at church.
我翻到嚟 BCEC 再唔係淨係為咗見呢一位姊妹，而係真係好想去同神建立好嘅關係。
And as it turns out, as time went on, when I came to BCEC, it wasn't just to spend time with this friend, this sister, but also to really seek after God.
我亦都發覺咗我爹哋媽咪對基督教咁反感嘅原因，係因為佢哋見到一啲唔好嘅基督徒榜樣。
And I also came to realize why my parents were so opposed to Christianity. It's because they saw Christians who were not good examples.
跟住我就明白到，如果真係要佢哋去接受我嘅信仰，
And I realized that in order for them to accept my faith,
我一定要係一個好嘅基督徒榜樣，
I should be a good role model, a good example of what a Christian should be.
令佢哋感受到我嘅轉變係從神而嚟，而唔係我自己想去點樣改變。
So that they would see that the changes in my life were because of Christ and not because of what I could do myself.
無論喺學業上、喺揾工上，同埋處理自己嘅感情問題上面，
Whether it's in finding a job or in my academics or how I handle my own life,
我都學習去依靠神嘅帶領。
I've learned to trust in God and His leading and guidance.
喺復活節洗禮，對於我同埋我相信其他弟兄姊妹嚟講，都象徵住自己生命係重新開始。
for me and also for the other candidates here, I'm sure that getting baptized on Easter is a good mark, a good representation of starting fresh.
我好希望能夠擺脱我之前喺靈命上面嘅起伏。
And I'm hoping that I will be able to take all the struggles that I have spiritually and put it behind me.
堅定咁樣確立神喺我生命之中最重要嘅地位。
And to establish God as the most important thing in my life.
喺受洗之後，真係去順從同埋順服神為我喺大學畢業之後嘅安排。
And trust in God that after baptism, trust that He will provide for me after college.
而且我真係好希望能夠有機會向我家人傳福音。
And I truly hope that I have the opportunity to share the gospel with my family.
好感謝神俾到我好大嘅信心。
And I thank God for giving me confidence.
令到我生命裏面有咁大嘅轉變。
And to have such a change in my life.
我希望我可以一生咁跟隨佢。
And my prayer is that I may be able to follow Him all the days of my life.
走神為我安排嘅路。
And to run the race that God has set before me.
多謝。